the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Josh All, your host. Happy Monday, everybody. And I hope you all enjoyed the free agency frenzy last week. The Browns did not a whole lot, really. It was kind of what we were expecting, in all honesty. We've got some serious positions of need on this team. Obviously, the primary ones are offensive line and wide receiver. And the Browns did attack the offensive line position, the wide receiver position. Obviously, we talked about this a million times. Free agency is not the time or place to go after wide receivers, especially in the first wave, that first week of free agency where the bidding just gets out of control and you overpay so much. Actually, I mean, pretty much everybody who gets signed in that first week is getting overpaid probably a little bit. But wide receivers are getting overpaid a ton because you are giving too much money to wide receiver twos, maybe high-end wide receiver threes. That's what you're getting in free agency. So while it has been overall uneventful for the Browns in free agency, it was kind of expected to be that way because of the positions that we don't really need to go sign big players and sign big contracts. We're good on this team. We're good at the edge rushing spot right now. We need depth. I've talked about that. We need to add some depth and some bodies there. But we're okay. We're good at cornerback right now. We need depth, kind of the same situation. Everywhere that we needed like a high-end starter, we're okay. So we didn't need to go out and spend the big money for those spots. The only one that I would have liked to see that I highlighted on a previous show was Kevin Byard, the free safety. But, you know, we don't obviously get to choose who comes here. We can only do what we can do with the money we have and, unfortunately, the reputation that we have. But today on the episode, I want to just go over what the free agents have been so far for the Browns, who we've signed, what the deals are, that kind of thing. And I want to use that to springboard into Mock Draft 6.0, Mock Draft Monday here on the Dawgs Podcast, because, again, not a whole lot going on with this team, not a whole lot of movement with players and personnel and things like that. So let's take the information we have from free agency week 1 and look at how that could impact the draft, which is only a few weeks away, in all honesty. So the draft will be in Pittsburgh on Thursday, April 23rd. That's when it kicks off. It'll be the 23rd, 24th, 25th. The 23rd on Thursday, by the way, that's when we'll be doing our first round live stream, the entire first round from our studio. So make sure you guys earmark that. Tune into our show on Thursday, April 23rd for the first round. The Browns make their 2 picks. We assume they will anyway, maybe not, but we'll see. So stay tuned and hang out with us for that. But let's use what happened in free agency and mock it up how we might see things go in April. And I will tell you guys, this draft is a little more of what I want to do, what I would like to see the Browns do, not so much what I feel Andrew Berry will do based on his history and his tendencies. But we'll talk about all that when we get to the mock draft. First things first, going over to the free agents. While I pull this up, make sure you guys go to jointhedawgs.com. If you want to be part of our Dog Pack community in the Discord, get in there, chat with everybody, hang out with us 24/7, and you get to be part of the Dog Pack Discord live episodes, which we will be doing one later this week. I don't know exactly what day and time yet. I got to talk to Kenny and figure all that out. But we will be doing one this week. So if you want to be part of that, head to jointhedawgs.com. All right, real quick, we'll just run through this. Before I dive into like the actual free agents, I just want to mention we placed a restricted free agent tender, a second round tender on safety Ronnie Hickman. So it's very unrealistic, very low odds that another organization is going to come and offer Ronnie Hickman a multi-year contract and fork over a second round pick to the Browns just to acquire Ronnie Hickman. So for all intents and purposes, Ronnie Hickman will be back this year. I think it was like a $5.8 million tender, so that's what his contract will be, at least to come back to the team to be the starting free safety. And then the expectation is the Browns and Hickman will be working on a multi-year extension. So you got Ronnie Hickman at least penciled in. I guess we won't put him down in pen, but for all intents and purposes, like I said, Ronnie Hickman will be back. And then exclusive rights free agents guys that as soon as we place the tender on them, they can't sign with anybody else. So they're here at least for camp and things. Maybe they end up getting cut. We know like long snapper Rex Sunahara, maybe they bring another long snapper as a UDFA to compete, but he should be back. Kicker Andre Schmidt, he'll be back. And then they did the same here with wide receivers, Malachi Corley, Jamari Thrash, tight end Brendan Bates, and linebacker Winston Reed, which I love those moves because I really like Winston Reed. I think he does have potential to be at least a rotating player at the linebacker spot, and he's great on special teams, and that's big for the Browns. Jamari Thrash, I don't know. At this point, I'm kind of out on Jamari Thrash's potential, but Malachi Corley is still very interesting to me because I think he's got a skill set that a good offensive-minded coach, a wise coach, somebody who actually can see the elite traits in a player and maximize that, which we're hoping Todd Monken can do. The last one really could not. So that's where I still hold out some hope for Malachi Corley. Now, moving into the actual, these are the free agents we went out, signed, and all this kind of stuff. First of all, we traded for right tackle Titus Howard with the Houston Texans. Then we gave him a 3-year, $63 million extension when he got here. So there's your right tackle spot. He's paid to be the right tackle. He can play a couple other positions on the line, guard, but I see him as the right tackle. And then we went out and we signed left guard Zion Johnson, formerly with the Chargers, 3-year, $49.5 million deal. He will be the starting left guard for this line. So now we've got 2 line spots filled in, just talking out loud, thinking ahead here for the mock draft. So we got right tackle, left guard. And then we signed linebacker Quincy Williams from the New York Jets, 2-year, $17 million deal that will replace Devin Bush's role on the defense. And I am so freaking excited for Quincy Williams. I love Devin Bush, and I wanted Devin Bush back first and foremost. But I said on the free agency preview show when I talked about Quincy Williams, if we don't get Devin Bush, I really want Quincy Williams, and we got him. I'm very excited to see. And he's got a long-standing, very tight relationship with defensive coordinator Mike Rutenberg, and that's why Quincy Williams came here to Cleveland. So I'm excited to see what this defense is going to look like here with some new faces, new coaching. It might not be as good as it was with Jim Schwartz, but there is an avenue here where it's better. We'll see. I'm excited to see how it plays out. Then we re-signed offensive guard Tevin Jenkins, and immediately everybody's like, okay, there's your right guard. We got a starting right guard. Let's pump the brakes on the starting right guard. He can do it. He can do it in the little sample size, and it was small sample size last year that we got from Tevin Jenkins. He performed well at the right guard spot, but again, he was rotating with Wyatt Teller, and he only had a few games where he actually started. But again, he did well in those starts, so I don't want to take anything away from Tevin Jenkins, and I think he can be the starting right guard if nothing else presents itself for the Browns. But they just gave him a 1-year, $4 million contract. So he's not paid as a starting offensive lineman. He's paid more as a depth piece. So we'll see how that plays out over the course of the summer. And then we made what I consider a bigger splash. Offensive lineman Elgton Jenkins from the Green Bay Packers. We gave him a 2-year, $24 million deal. So there's another guy who is paid, obviously, to be a starter on the offensive line. The Packers had just cut him the day before, and the Browns went out and signed him the following day. So that was awesome. He is most recently a center. He played center for the Green Bay Packers, but he played a lot of left tackle. He played a lot of guard. So this is a guy that can bounce around, and he's already said in his introductory press conference, I'm going to play wherever they need me. Whatever spot they need me at, that's where I'm going to go. So, a lot of people think we're kind of locked into left tackle at pick 6. Maybe not. Maybe Elgton Jenkins can bounce out and play left tackle. He's done it before. He's actually played most of his snaps over his career at left tackle. So we'll see. Again, another guy, and that's what they've done with this offensive line, a lot of versatility among the line with these players. And then we got some re-signings. They re-signed cornerback D'Angelo Ross. He's primarily a special team guy, practice squad guy. They re-signed cornerback Trey Avery. So a couple corners who are going to be, if they make the team, if they make the roster, will be featured mostly on special teams, might be practice squad guys. And then we re-signed punter Corey Bajorquez. So the special teams, the three specialists, those guys are all coming back in Rex Sunahara, Andre Schmidt, and Corey Bajorquez. So we're rolling it back there. And the last one, this one was kind of a bigger deal. We signed defensive tackle Kalia Davis from the San Francisco 49ers. Just a 1-year, $3 million deal, but he can come in here and be a good rotational piece on the interior of the defensive line, like Shelby Harris was, who won't be returning this year. So you'll have Mason Graham, Malik Collins coming back off of that injury, but he should be good to go for the season. And obviously Mike Hall is still here. You guys know I'm not the biggest Mike Hall fan. So again, for all of you Ohio State homers out there, or at least that's what you want to call me sometimes, as a Buckeye homer, Mike Hall was a Buckeye. I'm not impressed with Mike Hall so far. He needs to be stepping it up this year and making something happen, or that's going to be a bust pick for a second rounder that Andrew Berry used a couple of years ago. Get on the field, stay on the field, do something on the field, Mike Hall, please. But now we got Kalia Davis into that rotation. I think that was a very good signing for the Browns. And that rounds out what we've done so far in free agency. So again, no wide receivers, not even like a low-end free agent signing veteran type thing, because really that doesn't move the needle for this team, making that kind of a deal. You've got Jerry Judy, you've got Cedric Tillman. If they run into the season with either of those guys in the like Cedric Tillman, you guys will see in my mock today. I think you can forget about him. Just forget about him. He's a Jag, not even a good Jag. I don't think he's ever going to be anything in the NFL. Jerry Judy, I don't want him higher than my wide receiver 3. We can't do it. We cannot do Jerry Judy any more expectation than a wide receiver 3. And actually here, let me bring this up real quick, because I posted this on social media last week, late in the week, and I wanted to bring it up here on the show. So I'm seeing a lot of people and accounts, content creators on X and everything for the Browns saying, hey, with Todd Monken here, an improved offense, with personnel, Jerry Judy could be closer to the 2024 iteration than the 2025, which we just experienced the 2025 version of Jerry Judy. It was bad. That was the version that Denver Broncos fans were like, you guys, you're not going to be happy with this trade. But the 2024 version, he was the 6th leading receiver in the NFL. But I went back and I looked and I said, what was really the truth of that 2024 season? In 2024, going back 2 seasons now, roll with me here. Jerry Judy, 3 games in that season with just 1 reception. So he played every game that year. 3 of those games, he only caught 1 pass. In 5 of those games, he only caught 3 or fewer passes. He had 6 games with 35 or fewer yards, which means right there, 6 games out of 17, he made 0 impact for this offense. He had 6 games, on the other hand, here with 10 or more targets. So there were games where he was heavily targeted. He had 4 games with 7 or more receptions. He had 3 games with 100 or more yards. And then the 1 game, obviously, with 200 or more yards was 235 out in Denver against his old team, the Broncos. He only caught 4 touchdowns, and he had 13 drops. 8 of them, I didn't realize this till I looked, 8 of those 13 drops came in the last 2 games of the season. Ugh, talk about closing it out on a low note. So the reality, I went back, I looked at all the stats, broke it down. The reality, 786 of Jerry Judy's yards in 2024 came during that 7-game stretch when he was playing with Jameis Winston. 64% of his total production came in 7 games with Jameis Winston. If you break it down both ways here, in those 7 games with Jameis Winston, 786 yards, 64% of the season total, 112.3 yards per game. That's an elite number. 3 of his 4 touchdowns came over that 7-game stretch, and he had just one of his 13 drops in that 7-game stretch, which means over the other 10 games that season, he had 12 drops. He had 443 yards. 36% of his production came over the other 10 games. Just one touchdown outside of that 7-game stretch. 44.3 yards per game. Compare that. When he was with Jameis, 112.3 yards per game, elite number. Without Jameis, 44.3, as average as can be. So, outside of that 7-game stretch, Jerry Judy has not yet been reliable or productive for the Browns over 2 seasons. So no, I do not need Jerry Judy to be any higher than my wide receiver 3. And speaking of that, let's kick things over. I do want to talk about offensive tackles, but I'm not going to do it today. I'll do it later in the week. I think I want to put together a little bit more content and fill out a spreadsheet that I got going here for some of these guys to talk about in a little more detail. Today, I really want to go through this post free agency week 1 mock draft for you guys. So let's kick it over to the mock again here. After the Titus Howard trade, just to remind you guys, we do have 9 picks in the draft. I'm only going to make 8 today because the last pick is 248, and that's pretty close. I don't think that it's not the Mr. Irrelevant pick, but it's pretty damn close, and there's a pretty damn good chance we're not even going to have that pick. So I don't care about 248. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. A late 7th round pick, I really don't care about mocking that pick. So we're going to do 8. We're going to do number 6, 24, 39, 70. We're going to do 107, 145, 148, and 205 to round out the mock draft. This episode is partnered with Kalshi. Browns fans, are you ready to put your money where your predictions are? With Kalshi, America's #1 regulated prediction market, you can legally trade on events that actually matter to you. And the best part is you don't need to predict specific stat lines and compile a 7-leg parlay just to win big. With Kalshi, the objective is either yes or no. Will Shedeur Sanders be the Browns' Week 1 starting quarterback? Will Fernando Mendoza be the first overall pick in the draft? Will the Browns make their pick at 6, or will they trade out of that spot? And in other sports, will the Cavs win the NBA Finals? You can put your money on these predictions and more with Kalshi. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $10 to anyone who signs up at kalshi.com/dogs and trades $100. Get away from disadvantageous sports books and dive into real-world outcomes with real-time odds and real payouts. Head over to Kalshi, KALSHI.com/dogs, DAWGS, or just click the link in the description to get $10 when you trade $100 with Kalshi. Because why shouldn't you get paid for being right? This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. Dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS. I'm going to tell you guys what. I know we advertise Danger Coffee, but we've been doing it for years because Danger, it's freaking delicious. It is. You get 10% off every order with code DAWGS, DAWGS, Danger Coffee. I'm telling you guys, this stuff is good. It is really, really good. Check it out. All right, shameless plug. Pick 6 to kick off this mock draft. I'm going back to where I started, where I've been, and where I'm going to stay as my preferred pick and what I want the Browns to do with number 6. Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. 6'2", 195, just 21 years old. And why does age matter? I guess maybe before I dive into anything else here, because I got ages, not for every player, because they don't have them all listed, but for the ones I can find, I do. Age matters because if you are dominating in college football at the age of like, say you don't break out and dominate at the wide receiver position until you're like 22, well, you're going against probably some 18, 19, 20-year-old defenders. But if you're breaking out when you're young, 18, 19, 20, and you're going against 20, 21, 22-year-old defenders, now, you're breaking out against better competition or more experienced competition, I guess, would be the better way to say that. So, just 21 years old. Obviously, he just turned 21 in January, so he played all last season at 20 years old. In 2024, at 19, this is what I'm talking about these young breakout ages. At 19 years old, he started all 15 games on the national championship Buckeye roster, and he posted 52 catches for 733 yards and 4 touchdowns, and that was alongside Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka, who was a first-round pick, and Jeremiah Smith, obviously, who will be a first-round pick. This is and I can't stand the arguments out there that, well, he was never the one for his team. Neither was Egbuka. Neither was JSN. Jackson Smith-Njigba was third fiddle to Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. I think wasn't it Marvin Harrison Jr. as well? The second year was Marvin Harrison Jr. and then JSN, who missed pretty much the entire year with a hamstring injury, by the way. These Ohio State receivers, I'm not going to knock them for not being the clear-cut one on their team whenever we have multiple ones on the roster. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, JSN, you go back, guys like Terry McLaurin, Michael Thomas. Get me an Ohio State Buckeye receiver and get me Carnell Tate. So 2025, started 11 games. Remember, he did miss 3 games, I believe, with the calf injury. But you got to remember, if you go back, if you're a Buckeye fan, or if not, then this will, let me enlighten you on this. That was mostly precautionary, him not playing in those games. I forget who the opponents were exactly, but I know we were in a stretch where we were going against some very manageable Big Ten opponents. So we didn't really need to force Carnell Tate out on the field in those games. Jeremiah Smith sat for a couple of those games as well. So there were 1 or 2 games there where we didn't have Tate or Smith. And really what we were doing is getting those two fully healthy because the Buckeyes were gearing up for Michigan and for their playoff run, trying to repeat as national champs. So in 11 games, again, he missed 3, and a precautionary miss. But in 11 games, posted 51 catches, just 1 fewer than he did last season in the whole season, in the entirety. 875 yards, almost 900 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That's kind of insane, honestly, if you think about it, for only playing 11 games. And not being like the clear-cut go-to target right away in the offense. I mean, you got Jeremiah Smith eating up a lot of those targets and yards and touchdowns, and he still posted 875 and 9. That's incredible. It earned him a second-team All-American, first-team All-Big Ten, first-team, this one I really like, first-team academic All-American. Carnell Tate, by all accounts, smart kid, good kid, well-liked, leader, great attitude. That is the type of player I need to bring onto this Browns offense, especially with a young quarterback like Shedeur Sanders. These guys would fit perfectly, so well together. Lance Zierlein, NFL.com, his comp for Carnell Tate, Chris Olave, another Buckeye receiver I've already mentioned. Cam White on X said that Carnell Tate plays similar to Devontae Adams in A.J. Green's body because he's taller, thinner, but the way he runs his routes, the way he goes after the contested catches and everything and comes down with these 50-50 balls, his play style is very similar to Devontae Adams. His NFL draft profile says, Carnell Tate, ascending Z receiver, who continues to step out from the shadow of his teammate Jeremiah Smith. He has good size, but he would benefit from more play strength. Again, that's that 195 on that 6'2 frame. He could add some muscle, a little bit of weight. That would be good for him. He builds momentum quickly on intermediate and deep routes, utilizing speed and tempo to pressure cornerbacks. He can win over the top on verticals or separate over the first two levels with route savvy and separation bursts. This is a guy who can win all over the field. Tate tracks throws on top speed and makes his adjustments to run under them. He combines timing, body control, and catch radius to dominate airspace and consistently lands on the winning side of contested catches. Pass catching comes effortlessly with soft, strong hands, and he consistently works back on throws to keep ball hawks from hawking. That would be really nice to help your quarterback out that way. Tate displays rare polish for a player at his age, again, just turned 21, and he has the talent to become a heralded pro within his first 3 seasons. It's a no-brainer pick for the Browns. No-brainer. Deeper metrics, 3.02 yards per route run. Only 3 wide receivers in this draft class had over 3 yards per route run. Tate, Lemon, and a guy that I'm going to draft here a little bit later. A little spoiler. Tease, I should say. 85.7% contested catch rate. Caught 12 of 14 such throws, and he had 0 drops. All season, 0 drops. Only player in this draft class with no drops. Tate, this kid's a superstar in the making. I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you, when you can win consistently downfield with your route running, come down with 85% of your contested throws, your body control, ball tracking have got to be elite to be able to pull that off. And then to do all of that, play that style of ball, and never drop a single pass? It's a must-have. Wide receiver for me. I'm taking him over every offensive tackle in this class, except maybe Francis Maui-Noa. You can maybe sway me on taking Maui-Noa over Carnell Tate. But again, with what we're adding to our offensive line already in free agency, maybe we make another trade for a body or something like that. And there are other guys in this draft, stay tuned for my next pick coming up, that I think we can get and can be a good starter for the Browns. I need Carnell Tate, and I'm taking him at 6, and that's not going to change from here to draft night. I can promise you that. Okay, what I was alluding to here, pick 24. I think I took him in my first mock draft I did, and I'm going to take him again here because it just makes sense, and I'm going to talk about it. Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle, left tackle out of Utah. 6'6", 315 pounds. He's another young guy. Couldn't find the age. He's probably 21 years old would be my guess. If you want, okay, this is for the Browns. If you guys want a left tackle in the first round, not just an offensive tackle, if you want a left tackle, you have 3 options in the first round. Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, Caden Proctor out of Alabama, or Caleb Lomu here out of Utah. That's it. Those are your first round options at the left tackle specific spot. NFL Draft Profile says this is a 2-year starting left tackle who is still in the early stages of his development. Utah's run game leaned heavily on movement and misdirection, preventing Lomu from firing out and showing his true power. His run blocking trails his pass protection, but improved pad level and a nastier demeanor could close the gap. In pass protection, he shows good balance with adequate foot quickness, landing quick, well-timed punches, and using a firm grip to control rushers once he's in. His anchor was rarely stressed by power, and his athletic recoveries are average. Lomu flashes, but is still under construction. His play could improve rapidly with strength gains and additional coaching. I want to get this kid in here with Paul Warhop. Very solid in pass protection is Caleb Lomu. And just how solid, you might ask? 823 snaps he played this past season, 383 pass blocking snaps, so they ran the ball a lot there at Utah. But on 383 pass blocking snaps, Caleb Lomu allowed just 8 pressures and 0 sacks all season. That's insane. Think about, you're getting pass rushed on every one of these pass blocking snaps. All season. What, 12, 13 games? Just 8 pressures allowed, didn't give up a sack. This is a guy who last year in 2024 was a freshman All-American, 2025 named All Big 12. His counterpart on the Utah offensive line, Spencer Fano, who previously had been mocked higher in the first round, but I'm starting to see him fall down the draft board in the mock draft database a little bit. But Spencer Fano was playing left tackle before Caleb Lomu came to campus. As soon as Lomu came, they moved Fano over to right tackle, and Caleb Lomu locked in that left tackle position. So I know there's a lot of hype right now and buzz and love for Monroe Freeling. And the dude he's athletically, potential trait-wise, it's good. It's good. I like Monroe Freeling. I can't take him at 6. I can't take him over Carnell Tate. He's a one-year starter at left tackle, and it was a good year. Don't get me wrong. It was a really good year for Monroe Freeling. I believe he allowed I think it was about the same. 8 pressures, 0 sacks, something like that. I think it was 2 sacks. I think it was 8 pressures and 2 sacks in his first year starting at left tackle for Georgia. But I can't take him over a proven, just such a can't miss wide receiver prospect like Carnell Tate, especially when I can get a guy like Caleb Lomu at 24. I would love to do this rather than take Freeling at 6, or, a lot of people say, well, trade back to 10 or 12 and take Freeling. Okay, fine. Whenever you trade back, you also risk the chance of missing out on that guy. So then, say you trade back to 12, somebody takes him at 10 or 11. Well, you just missed out on Carnell Tate and Monroe Freeling. Now you look like a freaking idiot. I don't like doing that. I want to take Tate. I want to lock him in, get him at 6. That's if he's even available. I think he will be the way things are looking right now. There's a chance he's not. But I would rather take Caleb Lomu at 24 than reach higher in the draft for Monroe Freeling. That is my position right now. And I think Lomu would be an excellent, I think he could come in here. I think he could start as a rookie at left tackle. On this offensive line, you'd have Caleb Lomu at left tackle. You would have Zion Johnson at left guard, probably Elkton Jenkins at center, and then obviously Titus Howard over at the right tackle position as far as right guard goes. Again, maybe we trade for somebody. Maybe we draft somebody. Maybe it is Tevin Jenkins. Who knows? We have options. Maybe they punch DeJuan Jones back into the starting lineup and move somebody. There's options there, and I think that's really what the Browns are going for, is just to give themselves as many options on the line as possible. So whatever. Give me Caleb Lomu here at 24. Moving on. Pick 39. Going defense here, a position I believe we really have to address. And this is the guy I want to address it with. Chris Johnson, cornerback out of San Diego State, now smaller school. I get it. I've got quite a few, actually. Maybe a couple of smaller school guys here in this draft. Will Andrew Berry do that? Historically, he has not gone after smaller school guys. But Chris Johnson, this cornerback right here, talked to Barry Shuck from Dawgs by Nature after the Senior Bowl, and he came on here and said, if this guy's available at 39 when the Browns pick in the second round, we have to take him. Have to take him. He's a day one starter at cornerback. 6 foot, 193 pounds. Lance Zierlein comps him to Byron Murphy in the NFL. Draft profile says scheme versatile cornerback prospect with average size and the ability to play inside or outside, which is exactly what we need on our defense. Johnson is consistent in mirroring the release from his pedal, rarely labors when transitioning with route breaks. While many college corners lean on lax officiating to grab and maul, Johnson stays disciplined. I love this. He trusts his footwork and his technique to remain tight to the receiver's routes. He attacks the catch point with run-through force and is a tenacious wrap-up tackler who can quickly end plays. Big receivers can steal some high points, but not enough to cause concern. Johnson's coverage versatility, toughness, and athleticism should make him an early starter for a coverage-hungry team. Johnson is an excellent ball-tracking cornerback with great body control, and those details, like I just said in the profile, those details, attention to detail for him, allow him to cover receivers without being heavily penalized. So you have a good cover corner who can ball hawk, doesn't get a lot of penalties, and he can tackle. Draft him. Draft him right now. He's like I said, sure tackler. Always a big deal for these guys coming into the NFL. tackling is always iffy for a lot of players, especially in the secondary. 2024, Johnson, 67 tackles, a tackle for loss, 1 pick, 4 pass breakups, 3 forced fumbles. 2025, this past season, 49 tackles, 3 TFLs. He actually had a sack, 4 picks. He took 2 of those interceptions back for touchdowns, and he had 9 pass breakups. Great stats. Denzel Ward, guys, I love him. Still a high-level elite cover corner, but this is going to be his age 29 season. We need to get the next guy at the cornerback position who is going to be young and ascending over the next 3-4 years over his rookie contract on this roster, and Johnson can be the next great long-time Cleveland Browns cornerback. That's who I want here at 39. All right, pick 70. I got a couple picks here where I'm hedging a little bit. I might be cheating just a little bit. Right now, this guy is being projected on mock draft database around pick 60. We'll see. He's kind of been rising up the board. We'll see if he goes any higher, because if he does, then he's going to fall out a hypothetical range here at pick 70. But I'm still going to take him here because I want to highlight him on the show, number one, and he's a player that, if the Browns want to trade up, again, I got to talk about this at some point. I won't go into the details right now, but Andrew Berry does not like to trade up for anybody. He only likes to trade back for the most part. But here at pick 70, I'm taking Gabe Jacas, the edge rusher out of Illinois. So back-to-back defensive picks. You might not love it. These are positions where we need to be thinking about the future. Well, right now, we need to be in the here and now. It's about depth and who can come in and play starter whenever Denzel Ward is out with a concussion, or Tyson Campbell has a hamstring injury, or Alex Wright has a foot issue, or whatever the case may be. Who is going to come in here and fill in and develop into the next starter at this position? For me, it's Gabe Jacas out of Illinois, 6'4", 260 pounds. Lance Zierlein comps him to Matthew Judon, pretty good comp in the NFL. Draft profile says that Gabe Jacas is well built with tremendous play strength and the ability to play as a hand-down end or a stand-up edge. He's more rugged than explosive and twitchy. He can hold his ground against power, but needs to do a better job of playing with discipline to set and contain his edge. Jacas' pass rush plan lacks some creativity, but features a good deal of force and leg drive to bully his way into the pocket once he opens the tackle's edge. His play is more steak than sizzle with average sack production expected, but his field demeanor and play strength foreshadow a long career as an NFL starter. So they're already looking at this guy as starter potential right here. We're taking him at 70. I love it. Gabe Jacas, team captain, 4 years of experience in college football, 74 tackles in 2024 to go along with 8 sacks, 13 TFLs, and 3 forced fumbles. Last year in 2025, 43 tackles, but 11 sacks, 13 TFLs again, and 3 forced fumbles yet again. So this kid, I know the sack production might not be what the level you're looking for, but still 19 sacks and 26 TFLs over the last 2 seasons. Not bad. Not bad production whatsoever. He's a violent, ball-seeking edge defender. He's got the physicality and the demeanor that you want going against these big, tough NFL tackles. Jacas is a guy, and it's another one, kind of like the last pick, Chris Johnson. Gabe Jacas was a guy that Barry Shuck saw at the Senior Bowl, highlighted him on the show, would love to see the Browns grab. And I would love to add him to the defensive line. I think that he could fall into the rotation at the edge from day one, and then continue to develop and ascend as a starter in the defense. And, kind of like I talked about with Denzel Ward, you got Myles Garrett's going to be, 30-31? Something like that. And he's not going to, the end of the career for Myles Garrett, unfortunately, is closer than the beginning at this point in his career. So we really need to be looking at that. Alex Wright is a nice piece on the edge, but he's not like a long-term impact player. He's a good role player, a good fit over there for right now, but we got to get somebody in here who can develop into the next great pass rusher, edge defender for this team. And obviously, I'm not talking about being on the same level as a Myles Garrett, but I'm saying we need somebody that we can say, yeah, baby, I love having Gabe Jacobs on this defensive line, 2-3 years down the road. And I think this could be that guy. So give me Gabe Jacobs here at pick 70. The next pick here, 107. This is the second one in a row here where I'm going to cheat just a little bit because Mock Draft Database has this guy projected a little bit higher than this. I think he's going in the late 80 range. So we are pushing the limits here a little bit more. But this is a small school wide receiver. He's a little bit older prospect. Might cause him to drop a little more in the draft. But if he's available here, I would love to see the Browns, trade up a few spots to get him, even though, again, we don't do trade-ups. But it's Skylar Bell, the wide receiver out of UConn. 6 feet tall, 192 pounds. Lance Zierlein comps this guy to Michael Gallup, who you remember was a very effective receiver. We're not talking about a wide receiver one or anything like that, but a good starting receiver for the Dallas Cowboys until he got his, unfortunate injury kind of ended his career. But Skylar Bell, draft profile. He's an inside-outside target with adequate size and field-stretching speed. He has the tools to beat press quickly and the acceleration, cut quickness to open clean windows. While he's sudden in and out of his break points, his route running can be a tad mechanical at times. His catch focus appeared sharper in 2025, but his career drop total rivals his touchdown total, so we do have to have that as a concern. The touchdowns left on the field due to underthrown passes at UConn will turn into NFL touchdowns if he has an accurate passer. Bell's speed and upside should make him a productive starter in the NFL. So, why do I like Skylar Bell so much? And when I did the wide receiver show, you guys probably remember, I broke down the top 100, or the receivers who were in the top 100, according to Mock Draft Database at that time. And Skylar Bell just came in under that. And I said, put a little asterisk by his name, man. I like this kid a lot. Elite production in college football. Ranking among the FBS's top 3 in catches, yards, and receptions. Actually, let me just go through it here. Let me go through his stat sheet here from that show. So we had 141 targets last year. 102 receptions for 1,282 yards. The yardage was the second most in the entire country last year, and the receptions were the fourth most in the entire country. Both of those, 102 receptions for 1,282 yards, are the most in this entire wide receiver draft class. He had a 12.6 ADOT, 13 touchdowns, second most in this draft class. 36.4% of his routes ran out of the slot, 61 out wide. So again, scheme versatility, inside, outside receiver. 835 yards after the catch. An 8.2 yak per reception puts him easily highest among this entire draft class. So again, it's a guy, get the ball in his hands, and he is going to make plays. This is the guy I alluded to when I was talking about Carnell Tate. Only 3 receivers in this draft class were over a 3.0 yards per route run, which is an elite number. If you're over 3 yards per route run, I like if you're over 2.5, that's high level stuff. If you're over 3, that is elite production. I said Carnell Tate, 3.02 yards per route run. Skylar Bell, 3.13, led this entire draft class in yards per route. Actually, he was tied with Mekhi Lemon. Incredible receiver. He did have 4 drops this year, but that's better than, say, the 7 drops for Ted Hurst, who I do like a lot. I do like Ted Hurst. Or the 7 drops for KC Concepcion. Just a 3.8 drop percent. So again, I think he had drop issues like last year and maybe the year before, but this year he really cleaned it up. 13 out of 20 contested catches for a 65% rate, one of the better contested catch rates out of this class. And for a 6 foot, 190-pound receiver, that's impressive. 15 missed tackles forced. So that goes to the yak after he gets the ball. He's making guys miss, and he's getting yards. Give me Skylar Bell, man. Come on. Remember, what happened the last time that the Browns drafted the nation's leader in receptions and yards? That's right. Harold Fannin Jr. came in here last year and just dominated this offense. Well, we didn't really have any other option beside him, but he still came in here. the production continued. I want to see what this looks like with Skylar Bell. So you give me Carnell Tate, Skylar Bell, and Jerry Judy as my top 3 receivers, I'm a happy guy. I'm going to be a happy Browns fan, at least until we see what it looks like on the field, because maybe then it falls off a cliff. But in theory, that could be a very good wide receiver core. Okay, so moving into pick 145. We're going to go with Markel Bell. So back-to-back picks of Bell, Skylar Bell, now Markel Bell. Offensive tackle, again, left tackle, out of Miami. 6'9", 345 pounds. The Browns have already hosted Markel Bell for a top 30 visit, so he's clearly on their radar this year. Bell, he was on the opposite side of that Miami Hurricane offensive line, opposite of Francis Mauigoa, who played right tackle. Markel Bell was the left tackle. So, NFL Draft Profile says this is a mountainous, come on guys, 6'9", 345, almost 350, mountainous offensive tackle with rare physical attributes that work both in his favor and against him, depending on the situation. There is no escaping a high center of gravity. We've seen this with DeJuan Jones, which will impact his ability to change direction and protection and create consistent engagement as a run blocker. Bell must play in a gap scheme attack to minimize his limitations. He has exceptional length that he puts to good use in finding static pass rushers and offering shade to the pocket. NFL edge speed and sudden inside moves could be an evergreen issue for Bell, but with coaching, he could learn to mitigate those issues with his length. He has day 3 value, but might have a firm ceiling on his upside. So, 2025, Markel Bell gave up just 15 pressures, and just like Caleb Lomu, who we drafted earlier, Bell allowed 0 sacks all season on that Miami line. Both his pass blocking grade and his run blocking grades are very strong. So for the Browns to grab this kid at 145, that would be a steal, I think, in my book. It does remind me of DeJuan Jones when the Browns drafted him a few years ago. Humongous human being, right? Big Thanos. This guy big dude, held down his own in college football. Just he needs refinement. He's got some limitations at the NFL level, but he can come in and he can produce for you if coached up correctly and all that kind of stuff. But with DeJuan Jones already on the roster this season, and I do think it's probably his last season on the roster, we've already added Caleb Lomu now in the first round to play left tackle. We've got Titus Howard over there at right tackle for the next year or two. I think Markel Bell could round out your tackle depth on the roster, and then he could develop into the swing tackle in 2026. And when DeJuan Jones leaves, and now you've got a guy who can be your swing tackle. He can come in and spot start when guys are missing time. And he's got a chance to maybe he can develop into an eventual starter down the road. We'll see. But I like the upside. I like the swing on a guy like Markel Bell here at 145. Then we'll go to pick 148. We're going to take Jack Endries, tight end out of Texas. Finally going to address that tight end spot. And I think Endries would be a great fit for the Browns. 6'5", 245 pounds. Lance Zierlein comps him to Dalton Schultz. That's exactly the type of tight end the Browns need right now. So Endries is a quarterback-friendly F tight end who still needs time in the weight room. His route running can be monotonous and short area separation uninspiring, but he is tough, has a rebounder feel for boxing out defenders, and is a consistent ball winner even when coverage is draped all over him. He builds speed. He's tougher on man coverage when allowed to stretch his legs on longer routes. Run blocking is a roller coaster ride of bad losses and quality wins. He lacks the play strength to block ends and whiffs in space on occasion, but he also gets his share of wins on split zone, lead pulls, and combo climbs to the linebacker. Endries should develop into an NFL starter. I'll take that here at pick 148. Again, maybe I missed this. I can't remember now. It's not ringing a bell. Did I talk about? No, I don't think I did. We signed tight end Jack Stahl. I can't remember if I said that at the free agent part of the show up top, but Jack Stahl from the New Orleans Saints, 1 year, $1.3 million, veteran minimum. I saw a lot of people, as soon as we signed Stahl, they were like, well, there's your tight end too. We're good there. No, guys, no. He is signed to a vet minimum deal. He's going to be a cut candidate, a roster bubble guy throughout camp. He's going to have an opportunity to come in here and earn a role, prove himself. He's probably battling with Blake Whiteheart or Brendan Bates. We need somebody else who can come in here with a higher ceiling, higher potential, And that for me is a guy like Jack Endries here out of Texas. 3-year starter in college. This is interesting. He was Fernando Mendoza's top target at Cal back in 2024. He had 56 receptions for 623 yards and 2 touchdowns with Fernando Mendoza. 2025, transfers to Texas, catches 33 passes for 346 yards and 3 touchdowns. So over his 3-year career in college, he was a 3-year starter. Between 2 years at Cal, 1 year at Texas, 1,376 career yards, which that's very solid production for a college tight end, for any college tight end, not named Harold Fannin Jr., who, again, is not your prototypical traditional type of tight end. So I like it. Give me Jack Endries here at 148. And then finally, we'll round this thing out with a guy that I picked in my first mock draft. This is pick 205, Matt Golban, center / can play guard out of Michigan State, 6'4", 305 pounds. Matt Golban is a 3-year starter with average size, good power. He's better at climbing to linebackers than he is at moving laterally to seal in the run game. He can be outreached at the point, but he stays tight to his block to reduce length disadvantages. He excels when washing away targets on those inside zone plays with strong leg drive. Golban anchors well in protection, but he must stay square and be more alert to loopers on twists. Short arms reduce his margin for error, but his consistent body of work suggests that he has a chance to make a roster as a center who can swing to guard in a pinch. Who's that sound like? Does that sound like anybody else on the team right now? Just like Markel Bell, to me, resembles what we did with DeJuan Jones in 2023. Matt Golban reminds me of what we did with Luke Whippler in 2023, the same draft. You take a center late in the draft, a guy who was very solid in college, but doesn't really have the size, the speed, the athleticism. He's got the shorter arms, whatever. He's not going to come in right away onto an offensive line and do anything. But there are traits there to work with that could develop into a good backup or maybe even a starter if things hit right at some point in his career. That's what you want at this point in the draft. So stats-wise, Golban, only 5 pressures and 2 sacks allowed all year, almost 500 pass blocking snaps for this guy at Michigan State, and only 5 pressures allowed. Those are the types of offensive linemen that I'm looking for, especially late in the draft, but all throughout. High pass blocking snaps, low pressure rate. All right, guys, there it is. That wraps up Mock Draft 6.0. Coming off the first week of free agency, the first wave, really the main wave. And again, the Browns signed a couple starters on the offensive line, but outside of that, obviously Quincy Williams at linebacker, but on, everybody else was, special teams guys, practice squad candidates, things like that. So this is what we did in Mock Draft 6.0 as a recap. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Number 6, Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. 24 was Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah. 39, we go Chris Johnson, cornerback out of San Diego State. 70, Gabe Jacas, the edge rusher out of Illinois. 107, Skylar Bell, wide receiver out of UConn. 145 was Markel Bell, offensive tackle out of Miami. 148, Browns go Jack Endries, the tight end out of Texas. And finally at 205, we take Matt Golban, the center from Michigan State. So there we go, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me what I did right. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what you would have done or players that you would like to see added to this roster starting on April 23rd. It's coming up, guys. It is coming up fast. NFL draft right around the corner. I want to take probably a quick break here. On the other side, a couple voicemails. This episode is sponsored by ButcherBox. Browns fans, with all the free agency and draft talk, you know that spring is right around the corner. And there's no better feeling than stepping into that sunshine, ripping off that old cover, and firing up the grill. And ButcherBox has the perfect deal for you to get the best meat onto that grill this spring. Head to butcherbox.com/dogs, DAWGS, right now, and new users will get their choice between free chicken breast for a year or ground beef in every box for the lifetime of their subscription. And if you're just placing a one-time order, make sure you guys use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS at checkout to get our podcast discount. With ButcherBox, you get to choose your box and how often it's delivered. With the custom classic box, for example, you get exactly what you and your family need for the warmer weather. Choose from over 80 different products, including meat and seafood. Plus, you can manage your entire subscription online and change your box type, product selections, frequency, or delivery date anytime. Shipping is always free. Deliveries come straight to your door on your schedule, and you can cancel anytime. So what are you guys waiting for? Head over to butcherbox.com/dogs right now. New users, you guys are going to get your choice between free chicken breast for a year or ground beef in every box for the lifetime of your subscription. And again, if you're just placing a one-time order, use promo code DOGS at checkout for our podcast discount. That's butcherbox.com/dogs. All right, thanks for hanging in there, guys. First voicemail here today is from Justin.
Carnell Tate. What's up, Dog Podcast? It's your friendly neighborhood Browns fan out here in Jersey. Just chiming in here, just seeing what your thoughts are on the possibility. I've been more Monroe Freeling with the 24th pick, and obviously Tate or Tyson at 6. Only taking Tyson if Tate is not available. But now with all the moves in free agency, I'm leaning more towards taking 2 receivers in the first round now. We're in a time period where it's like we got to go all out while we got Myles Garrett still and Denzel Ward on the defense, you know what I mean? We made some big moves in the free agency on the line, which I love, but I want to know what your thoughts are if we can somehow come out of the first round and have Carnell Tate and Omar Cooper Jr. and have them as our main wide receivers going into this season. Then you also got Isaiah Bond, which I love, with his speed, and then Harold Fannin. I love the idea of having Shedeur, Quinshon Judkins, Carnell Tate, Omar Cooper Jr., Harold Fannin, and Isaiah Bond. Anyway, go Browns. Ooh.
All right, Justin, thanks for the voicemail. Obviously, you just listened to my mock draft. So, yes, Carnell Tate at 6. You're not getting Monroe Freeling at 24. I don't think there's a chance that he's available there. He will go earlier. But again, I don't want to reach for him at 6. Especially if Carnell Tate's on the board. The more I was already convinced that Carnell Tate was going to be that guy for me at 6. The more I've studied him, the more I've watched, the deeper analytical dives I've done into him, I'm just like, I don't see how it fails. And maybe it does. Maybe it does. And a lot of it for these guys does depend on landing spot. Unfortunately, the Browns are not the best landing spot historically for these kind of players, but I am choosing to have faith in Todd Monken until he proves me wrong, until he shows that he really doesn't know what he's doing. I'm choosing to believe that he knows what he's doing, that he can elevate offensive talent. And I think Carnell Tate is the best option for the Browns at wide receiver, and you got to get him. You have to get him because this team never invests at wide receiver, and we always suck at wide receiver. And that's why. It's because we don't put emphasis on the position. So put freaking emphasis on the position, Andrew Berry. At 6, don't mess around with it. Don't trade back. Just stick and pick the best freaking wide receiver in this class and just be happy with the production, the results. Like, come on. It gets me so fired up talking about how piss poor this wide receiver core has been every single year, especially these years under Andrew Berry. It's been pathetic. So bad. So just fix it. Just fix it. Obviously, I don't think we're trading for anybody. I know I want them to get Marvin Harrison Jr. or Brian Thomas Jr. But if we think Marvin Harrison Jr. still has elite upside and a ceiling like that, so do the Cardinals. They don't want to give him up. And not for nothing, so it's going to be a primo deal probably, and that's probably why we haven't seen anything transpire yet in the wide receiver trade game. 2 wide receivers, Justin, in the first round. I mean, I'd be on board. You're not going to see me upset if we leave draft night from the live stream with Carnell Tate and Omar Cooper Jr. We're probably going to be doing backflips out of the studio, honestly, and probably on camera. We'll be doing all kinds of crazy stuff if we go that route. But again, I thought about doing that for my mock draft here today, but I think if Caleb Lomu is there at 24 with what we've done, the moves we've made so far on the offensive line, I think we need him, and I think he would be the right value for the Browns at 24. And I don't know if he's got all pro, perennial Pro Bowl type of ceiling at the left tackle spot, but I think he's definitely a guy who can come in and be a good starter for you for several years. So I'm good either way, as long as we go Tate at 6. That's where it gets me. Like, what'd you do at 24? Take a wide receiver, take a tackle, whatever. Get Tate at 6. Don't mess around. Justin, appreciate the voicemail. Let's see who's next here. The next voicemail, actually, I think it's the last one we got for today. This one is from Preston.
Hey, this is Preston from Charlotte, North Carolina, but I'm originally from Columbus, so go Bucks. My question is, do y'all think taking Monroe Freeling, the left tackle from Georgia, at our pick number 6, do you think that would be a reach? Personally, I do. I'm sure y'all will have a more unbiased opinion since I'm not a huge fan of Georgia. Yeah, I just want to hear y'all's opinions on him and just the offensive line as a whole. In the first round, whether we should take it 6 or 24, who we should take specifically, and yeah, thank you.
All right, Preston. Well, thanks again for the voicemail. OHIO. Yeah, that's right. Bucks fan here too. You obviously, again, just like Justin's voicemail, you saw the mock draft here. You've gotten I basically answered a lot of what you've already been looking for there in that voicemail. Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, I think, is a very good prospect. Not at 6. I do think 6. I agree with you. 6 is a reach to take Monroe Freeling, especially if you're taking him over Carnell Tate. Now, if we get to 6, Carnell Tate's off the board and Francis Mauigoa is off the board. Okay, you can entertain me with Monroe Freeling at 6 if those guys are off the board. But again, then you're sitting there and you're going, okay, do I reach for a left tackle who's only started 1 year in college? Again, it was a good year. He performed well in the SEC. But a 1-year starter at left tackle who still needs some refinement to his game. Are you going to take him over guys that are still on the board? Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, we're talking Ohio State Buckeyes. What if Jeremiah Love's on the board? I just had to throw it out there because I put it on social media. I got pushback and I got love. I got all ends of the spectrum on that one, but I'll do a bigger segment coming up here, before the draft about Jeremiah Love. And I think he's probably going number 4 overall to the Tennessee Titans. But if a guy like Jeremiah Love is on the board at 6, say Carnell Tate's gone to the Giants or something, it's really hard to sit here and bitch for year after year after year and say the Browns never have elite playmakers and then sit there and pass on one of the most elite playmaking prospects in recent memory. Oof, that would be tough. That would be tough. Need you guys to remember, Jeremiah Love, not just a running back. Not just a running back. But anyway, yeah, Monroe Freeling at 6, I think, is getting a little rich. I think I see a lot of social media accounts saying, well, I think we're just kind of locked into Monroe Freeling at 6. Kind of like we're settling. Why are we settling? Come on, guys. Let's not settle. I know we need somebody to play left tackle. Worst case scenario, they play DeJuan Jones there again. I don't want to. You guys know that. I don't want to play DeJuan Jones there, at least not starting. I want him to be the swing tackle, but it's worst case scenario. At least you have somebody who can play there if need be, at least for, 4 or 5 games until he gets hurt. I'm sorry, that's just the trend, but I like Caleb Lomu. Again, if you want a left tackle in the first round, you're between Freeling, Caden Proctor out of Alabama, who I'm just not huge on Caden Proctor. I think he's got some upside. He's kind of like Freeling in that way where there's physical traits there and there's upside that is very enticing. It's just, I don't know if it can be reached or if this is the right situation for it to be reached with the Cleveland Browns. I think Caleb Lomu is the most complete left tackle you can get in the first round. I think you can get him at 24. So that's what I'm doing. That's where I'm at. That's where my head's at. After that, if you know what, here, let's just play a game. Since that was the last voicemail, got a few minutes here to round out this episode for you guys. So let's just start playing a little bit of what if game. So say you don't go, like I think Justin was suggesting, you don't go tackle at all in the first round, which I would be shocked. Shocked if Andrew Berry used 2 first-round picks at the wide receiver position because I just don't think he likes wide receivers. But anyway, so then you go to 39 and you're looking at, okay, well, who could be available there? Blake Miller's probably gone. Right tackle out of Clemson. Mock Draft Database has him at 36, so that's just 3 picks ahead of where the Browns are picking at 39. So maybe he goes there. Maybe he goes first round. I don't know. We're talking very early second round picks here. Guys could be sneaking into the first round. But if you want to talk about tackles, guy who should be available in the early second round, Max Ianachor, the right tackle out of Arizona State. Very interesting player. If you're looking at offensive line in general, 41 right now projected here. Emmanuel Pregnon, the interior offensive lineman, the guard out of Oregon, could be an option. And then at 46, you got one of my favorite players in this draft is Chase Besantis, the guard out of Texas A&M. I wouldn't hate that move, especially. I might be thinking about this for my next mock draft. I might be taking Chase Besantis at 39, putting him at right guard. You got Zion Johnson at left guard. I might move Elgton Jenkins to left tackle. He can play it. He can play left tackle. We might not need to reach for Monroe Freeling at 6 if Elgton Jenkins can play left tackle. Something to think about. And then if we move on, looking a little bit further down here, I don't really want to talk about too much at 70. Tackle-wise, not really much to talk about in that range. The only offensive lineman in that range that I'm interested in, projected to go 68, is Keelan Rutledge, the guard out of Georgia Tech. So that's kind of where I'm at with these offensive linemen right now. Again, I'll do an episode more on offense, basically just focus solely on the offensive line players in the draft coming up here in the next couple weeks. So we'll talk about that. I'm going to wrap it up here today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Best audience in the world. I love you guys so much. Appreciate you guys always being here, watching the show, listening, interacting, leaving comments. It's great. Your interaction with the show does not go unnoticed. Even if I don't respond to a comment from you guys, on YouTube or Twitter or wherever, it doesn't mean I don't see them. It's just between all the social media accounts, we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments every day almost, and there's just no way to respond to them all. But I see them. I appreciate them. I just want you guys to know that. So if you want to be part of the close-knit Dog Pack community, get more direct access to me, Blake, Justin, Kenny Mac, everybody that's in the Discord, head over to jointhedawgs.com. We'd love to see you guys in there. Give it a test run. Do it for a month. Do it for April. Do it for the draft month. Get in there, see what the conversations are like leading up to the draft, the interaction during the draft, after the draft, all that kind of stuff. And then if it's not for you, it's only $5 a month. But, if it's not for you, it's not for you. You don't have to stay. You can unenroll and everything over at Patreon. But again, it's also a great way to help support the show financially, help us continue to be able to do what we're doing, putting out more content, episodes for you guys, and everything that we do on the social. So thank you to everybody who is part of the Dog Pack community on Patreon and Discord. And again, jointhedawgs.com if you want to join. Let me know what you guys think. Mock Draft 6.0 in the books. The first mock after the first wave of free agency. Who else should we sign in free agency, guys? The one guy I'm still looking at that's out there, or at least, let me double check and make sure he is out there. Okay, I didn't see a notification where he got signed by anybody, but always a chance I missed something. Dylan Parham, talked about him on the free agency preview show, the offensive guard, just 26 years old from the Raiders. I think if the Browns were able to bring him in, now you're really opening yourself up to do things like maybe 2 receivers in the first round or 2 receivers in the first 3 or 4 picks, that type of thing. So Dylan Parham, a guy I'm keeping a close eye on in free agency as the week goes on. So see you guys in the comments. See you guys in the next episode. Until I talk to you, let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by ISSA. Browns fans, if you're into health and fitness, have you ever wondered how you could maybe turn those hobbies and your passion into an actual career? If that sounds interesting to you, then ISSA has the opportunity you've been looking for. ISSA is the International Sports Science Association, and they can help you become a certified personal trainer in as little as 3 months. And right now you can get $100 off your certification when you sign up through our link, joinissa.com/Dawgs, DAWGS. Now, certifications are 100% online, self-study, and self-paced. You can study anywhere from your phone, tablet, or computer. And the final exam is open note, open book, aka piece of cake. Except you fitness nuts probably don't eat a ton of cake, so let's just call it a piece of delicious protein bar. And ISSA has the #1 job guarantee in the industry. If you get certified and sign up to be a certified trainer with ISSA, you have a job guarantee or your money back. ISSA has over 10,000 gym partners that have over 73,000 open jobs for trainers right now. And you don't need a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree. You just need your certification to qualify for these jobs. So what are you waiting for? With certification this simple, there's no excuse not to pursue your passion and become a certified personal trainer today. Get $100 off your certification at joinissa.com/Dawgs. You've wanted to make a change long enough. Now it's time to do something about it. That's joinissa.com/Dawgs for $100 off your personal trainer certification.